Well, wait for Thomas. Thomas?
Oh, sorry.
He's too busy checking his lottery numbers.
I was there, aye.
Doesn't get drawn
Same numbers as we usually put on. Thanks very much for that, John. That shortened the winter. Man of very few words. Wish. No, make the most of it because you're married now and you won't get the chance very often. Thanks very much to John for that, and introducing Stewart, the best man, who will now do his best to try and persuade us that John's actually a really good guy. Stewart.
Don't mess this away because everybody said half the jokes I've got on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, bride and groom. First of all, thanks John on behalf of the bridesmaids. I'm sure it was a great pleasure in taking part in these proceedings. For all of those who don't know me, my name's Stewart. John asked me to be the best man at this wedding. Don't know why. If he told me I was going to be making a speech in front of you lot, standing here with a skirt and no knickers on.
Really?
I once read it, actually, that being asked to be the best man was being like asked to kiss the Queen. It's a great privilege, but nobody really wants to do it. As John says, I've known him now for over 30 years, and I know what you're all thinking. You must think, God, you must have met Stewart when Stewart was really young. But believe it or not, John's younger than me. I'm just wearing a bit better. John would even tell you, actually, that he saved my life once. That's actually a bit far-fetched. What actually happened was, there was a group of us had gone to one of the local hostelries in the town on a Sunday afternoon and then decided to go to the swimming baths. So we're in the swimming baths and we're playing this game of tag in the swimming baths. And my wife, unfortunately, who's not a strong swimmer, got a bit out of her depth. So I noticed all the screaming and splashing and whatever, and I thought, well, I haven't actually married her yet, so I'll be good to her. I'll go and save her. So I swam across to her. John had just been at Tullyallen on one of his first weeks there with the police. And they taught him life-saving. And he thought, my mate's in difficulty. I'll have to go and sort him out. John dives in, swims across, throws Rona to the side, and drags me to the side of the pool. Despite all my protests, saying, there's nothing wrong with me. In the meantime, the pool attendant had to get the big hoop out and fish Rona out the pool. We were then told to leave the pool and not come back if we'd been drinking again. But as I say, I've known John now for about 30 years, so I know quite a lot about him, but I've really got a bit of a problem. Because I can't actually think of anything exciting or interesting or embarrassing to actually say, because it's really boring. I mean, you may not realise, but at the snooker we tend to call you Coco. You put everybody to sleep. But really, there's obviously a couple of really important people here today, without whom none of this would be possible. And I'm sure that as the evening progresses, we're going to spend more time talking to them and, you know, we're going to get to know them a lot better. So please, a bit of applause for the bar staff. I first met Fiona about 5 years ago. And it quickly became clear to me that here was a woman of many attitudes. Beauty, brains, wisdom. And fortunately for John, a disarming love for dumb animals. I remember the first time that I met Fiona. We were out playing our usual game of snooker on a Friday night. And at that time, what our Friday nights consisted of was playing a few games of snooker and then heading round to a little hostelry called the Old Ship Inn in the Skinner Gate, next to the Doss House. Where we didn't go there because of the ambience of the place, we just went there because you could get reasonably priced drink and the older ones of us could get a seat. But on this night, John came in and he was obviously a bit nervous about something. He was fidgeting, he was just wasn't there. And he says, towards the end of the night at the snooker, I want to go to the Foundry. why do you want to go to the Foundry? For those of you who don't know Perth, the Foundry is one of these noisy, trendy pubs that charges you through the nose for the drink. And he says, why do you want to go to the Foundry? We'll never get a seat, it'll be noisy. John says, no, I want to go to the Foundry. So he kept on trying to convince us. So eventually we got it out of him why he wanted to go to the Foundry. So being true friends, we all said, sod off, we're not going. John continued to plead with us and says, you've got to go, come on, I want to make it look like an accident that I'm bumping into this girl, come on. Eventually, he made the ultimate. He says, I'll buy the drink. Right then, we'll go. So outside the pub, after having a few beers beforehand, we're all briefed on what to say, what to do. We're only meant to say, hello, oh, you're Fiona, oh, hello,
You didn't stick to that.
and leave. We get a drink and leave. So we went in, about half an hour later, John comes back to the group and he says, okay, here, you boys can leave now. No chance! We told John that we couldn't possibly go to another pub, we wouldn't have time to walk to London, we would never get another drink, and besides, you'd promised to buy the drink. So, that was it. John bought another round of drinks, keep us all quiet, keep us fed. The night came to a close. I was now getting a bit hyper, and I thought, I cannot let this deceit go. So, hyper with the orange juice that I'd been drinking, ran across to Fiona. John spotted me, tried to stop me, but I just had to tell her the only reason that we were in here was because John dragged us round and we were all meant to bugger off once he'd been all right. I'm glad to see that letting her know what a devious, scheming person he is. Now, normally at this point, I should offer John some advice about married life. But what's the point? John never listens to anybody. Loads of occasions I can think of. I mean, in the 70s, John bought an Alpha Sun. I mean, for those of you born in the late 70s who've never seen an Alpha Sun, the Alpha Sun was the first car which recycled itself. It just rusted in front of your eyes and fell apart. While we're playing snooker on a Friday, often, John, you can hear the words, you don't want to go for that ball, John. John still pots it. And you go, you've just lost points. That was the wrong colour in the wrong order. I actually wrote colours in here, but John never pots more than one ball. But I think the most recent example of John no listening to anybody was John's new Audi A4. John treated himself when he retired for the police to this new Audi A4. It had all the toys in it to help an elderly person drive it. It had traction control, it had cruise control, it had ABS braking, it had self-leveling coffee cup holder, it had everything, and it had reverse parking sensors. And one day, John's visiting somebody, and he's reversing into the drive, and the sensor sounded the warning. Now most of us would go, oh, what's that? John went, I'm not listening to that. The next noise John heard was the sound of his nice new Audi scraping up along the side of a brick wall. So I'm not going to give John any advice. Instead I'm going to give some to Fiona. When you're having one of your many little squabbles that married life's full of, don't bother saying to John, if you don't shut up, I'm going to slap you. Just slap him, he'll never listen anyway. So, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I've got at the bottom of the speech here that I propose a toast to John and Fiona, but I don't know if I do or not, but anyway.
Do it again.
John and Fiona, Mr. and Mrs. Irons.
Thank you, Stewart. Am I okay on that?
Perfect. Beautiful.
Now it's strange because that's a side of John I've never known. I worked with John and Fiona, I still work with Fiona, and I've only ever known them as a couple. So I've always just seen John doing exactly what he was told to do. I thought they were married, to be honest. So, Is it any good? I'll use it.
It's about the ceremony. I must do that.
Oh, right.
It's not lost.
Yeah, Stewart was sure meant to say how good the ceremony was, and he's surprised that John never took his last chance at wearing a suit, because Fiona will be wearing the trousers from tomorrow. I asked John who wears the trousers in your house. He says, I do, but I have to wash them and iron them as well.